Good evening. It is feeding time at the farm. I want to try and dispel a couple of common misconceptions with goats and chickens. A lot of people think that goats eat everything. They do not eat everything. It's inevitable. Um, Late winter, early spring on Facebook, I always get someone tagging me in a post with on Facebook where someone is asking to borrow goats to eat weeds. Well, I don't know where you're at, but I'm in the foothills of the Southern Sierras, Lake Isabella in Kern County. We're about 45 minutes east of Bakersfield. Anyways, a lot of the weeds that are around here, the native um, and the not native, but a lot of the weeds around here will actually kill goats. Um, uh, I'd say about, well, I don't know. I was going to say about good 50%, but I don't know that. But there are a lot of weeds that most of us have in our yards that will kill goats. Um, so, um, Goats are not grazers, goats are browsers. You might say, well, goats will eat aluminum cans. Goats will eat. Actually, they don't eat that stuff. They chew it up. They'll chew on it. The that area there where you see the lights and stuff is my milking shed, my milking area, and I just now covered it over, put a roof on it and stuff, put those lights up so I can actually come out at night where it's nice and cool. We are at about just under 3,000 feet in a arid region. It is mountains. It is mountains, but it's also desert. We're in the high desert here. In fact, on the other side of, well, you can't see them, but those mountains over there is the Mojave Desert. Um, so it's hot. But anyways, um, one of my goats, in fact, this one right there, um, got up as tall as she could get and started eating slivers or chewing slivers off of the 2x4s. I had to take it away from them so that they wouldn't impale themselves or choke on them. So goats are actually browsers, not grazers. So if a goat owner does not want to lend to you your goats, don't get upset about it. Number one, they're not your goats. They belong to someone else. Um, Goats are expensive, believe it or not. My goats actually come from show stock. I'm not showing these goats, so I didn't pay for the papering, so I got them for about half the price, but they were still really expensive. And it's really expensive to feed them. A bale of hay, when I first started with the goats about 4 years ago, was $17 a bale. Now it is $27 a bale. I go through anywhere from a bale to a bale and a half a week. That's just hay. That's not including grain. Chickens, same thing. People think chickens are the garbage disposal of the farm. They kind of are. I mean, they literally do eat just about everything. But if it's moldy or rotten, don't feed it to them. It can kill them. So, yeah, these animals aren't disposals. They're not the stink grinders. Um, they have, in fact, goats especially actually have pretty delicate constitutions, pretty much like humans. The goat um, uh, sensitivities and stuff are almost identical to humans. Goats can get bronchitis. Goats can get pneumonia. Goats can get hepatitis. Um, so be careful when you're feeding your animals. Be careful, like when you're asking to borrow a goat. Someone wants to borrow my goats. Here's what's going to happen. They're borrowing me too, and they're going to have to pay for my time. I'm not cheap. It will cost $15 an hour or $100 a day, whatever you want, depending on how long it takes. Plus, you will pay for fuel, and I will charge for the time of loading my animals because it's going to take at least two. Goats are herd animals; they cannot be left alone. Um, they're really destructive if they're left alone. And goats actually do have mental issues as well. They will get depressed and so forth. So it's going to take two goats. I'm going to have to load them in my trailer and my border collie. So not only are you paying for my fuel, you're paying for my time, you're going to pay for my goats, and you're going to pay for my dog too. So you're now looking at almost $200 a day. Goats aren't free, they're not cheap, and they really don't eat everything in sight. They'll chew everything in sight, but they will not eat everything in sight. So there's a little, hopefully that clears up a little bit. I've only been doing this for about 4 years, so I'm still learning as I'm going. And hopefully as I go, the bats are coming out now. I love watching these bats fly around here. As we go, things that I learn, I'll pass on to y'all too. So I don't know if you can hear in the background or not, because it's kind of windy right now, but the ducks are screaming at me because they want to eat. So hopefully I helped clear a few things up, and then I'm going to go and feed the ducklings. Have a good night.